into the bush. So stay tuned, enjoy the pre-recorded drive, and we'll hopefully see you out there shortly.
What they're living in is an old termite mound. Not necessarily vacated by termites, more likely the termite colony died out. Could still be a tertiary colony living in it. Although I'm not seeing any new working, and at this time of the year when it's very damp during the rains, termites get very busy, not only fixing but increasing the size of their termitaria. And one thing that is interesting about a mongoose colony that lives sunning themselves on the eastern side of the burrows, or on the eastern side of the mound, and in the late afternoons, just before they go in, before darkness, they will sun themselves on the western side. And just below the entrance to these burrows is a small midden or latrine. I'm quite sure that the rain has washed a lot of the droppings away, but just below all these mongooses, a small pile of droppings. It's gorgeous.
Ah. See, there's been some other pachyderms here, the elephants. See, there's a few foot scrapings on the ground, and it looks like they were actually heading down this way, so we may even just take Nyala Road North and see if they're in the drainage line. Just picking up this though, and this is what one of them's been eating by the looks of it, and this is a leadwood, Combretum imberbe, and this one is quite an old man of the bush, can live for about 1,000 years, and 1,000 years or so before it falls over. It's a very, very long-lived tree and very long-standing tree. But what's quite interesting about it, I don't know if we can see I can take these leaves off here. You should be able to see the spines, and they're at 90 degrees to each other, which is quite a big characteristic to look out for. So you can see these spines here, and then further along the branch they go the other way. And if you have a look at the leaves also, they're very small, almost a bit like an oak leaf with this wavy edge to it. But what is quite useful about it is if ever you're stuck in a survival situation in the bush and you find a young leadwood, you can actually use this as a hook to catch fish. And they're quite supple, quite pliable. And get yourself some mother-in-law's tongue or some other type of plant that's also very strong to make yourself a little wire and or a line. And then you'd actually use this spine from quite a young plant, and then you can throw that into the water and obviously have a bit of bait in the end, and the fish will come along and eat the bait, and this spine will actually get caught obviously in its throat. Obviously in a survival situation I wouldn't say go out and do it now or try it, but certainly if you're in that situation where you have to survive, then that's a good way of doing or using it for fishing. But the Cambretum imberbe, or the leadwood, it's also very, very dense hardwood, and you can also use the leadwood as a toothpaste. If you get your coals, it's a very good firewood, very long burning, and in the morning you take the ash and you can use that with some milk or even some water and use it as a toothpaste. And you can also make yourself a toothbrush if you know where to look. So wherever you can find anything, which is what is always amazing me. And even from medicines to toiletries, you can even find yourself some toilet paper. And even from medicines to toiletries, you can even find yourself
Good morning, everyone. Good morning to a beautiful sunrise here at Juma Game Reserve. My name is Mark. Sebastian on camera with me this morning, and instead of our day getting lighter, it's actually getting a little bit darker as the sun rises into some pretty thick cloud. Beautiful lower mist hanging over the bush veld, really. For the next few hours we're going to ride around here, this part of the Derby Sand, and try and find some of the wonderful animals and plants that we have occurring here. So do join me and enjoy. I'm going to start off here at Juma Waterhole Camera at Gowrie Dam. Did you get that nyala?
Yeah, no, just like now.
It just came into view exactly where we had the camera. But the grass is so long I can't see him now. Underneath that big marula tree that you had the sun rising behind, there's a nyala bull that just appeared out of nowhere and then disappeared just as quickly. Fleeting glimpses. Sometimes that's all we get. Now there were some monkeys shouting. Oh, let's just stop quickly. Straight down below us is a hippo returning to the water. And interestingly, just in the foreground, in front of the hippo, that's the camera that you all get your images from at the dam. And he's back in. Walked up the spillway that is flowing strongly. Gowrie Dam at its fullest. I'd love to pack sandbags on that spillway and keep a bit more of that water in. But once this cloud burns away, it's not going to take long for it to evaporate. As I say, monkeys were shouting. They no longer are. They must have seen something. There were a few impala, of course, coming out of camp. They seemed a little bit nervous, but they weren't alarming or anything. There's a big male comb-billed duck that just arrived at the dam. Is being chased by the Egyptian goose. Also used to be known as the knob-billed duck, coming over us right now. Unfortunately flying a little bit faster. Why the goose would be chasing the poor duck, I don't know. And the duck has flown south. The Egyptian goose coming back to... But interestingly, very often members of their own species invading their territories. Birds, on the other hand, feel pretty strongly about competition. And we see how the drongos mob the eagles and other raptors. Just going to take a little ride up towards the lodge. Hippo tracks. Texan is heading up towards Ripples of Cut Line. I think he's going to go and have a look to see if the cats are still there. Lions. We've had some wonderful lion sightings of late. Just wanted to see if there might be any tracks here of any cats. Oh yeah. Well done, Sid. Hippos confronting each other right underneath the microphone at the dam. Well, we are, not them. Hang on, let me just turn a bit more. There we go. We can listen while we're at it. The hippo on the left backing up into the bushes, he's spraying his dung. Even in the water they will do that. It is an appeasement gesture. If he does it towards the other hippo, could be a dominance gesture the way he's doing it now. Spraying his dung on that tree. I don't think that tree's ever touched the water. But it's... obviously this other hippo that's just arrived, causing a little bit of consternation. greenbacked heron flying over. At Juma Waterhole camera. We're going to continue down Twin Dams Road. I think I haven't done that for a long time. Oh, sorry, good. The way they have, if that sound is carried, there's a good chance that the Machingalans are going to hear it and want to come and investigate. I was also hoping to see the moon setting this morning, but we're not going to be able to view that. The post full moon, the waning moon. Should still be up in the sky for the next. Starling. Buffalo and hyena tracks. Buffalo heading south towards Chelapan. And rhino. No, there were some rhino here yesterday afternoon between Chelapan and Weaver's Nest. 4 of them. Let's see if we can find where they went. Hyena have gone north. If any of you weren't with us last night, we came across this dip last night. It was flowing a little bit stronger than this, but this is the dip on Twin Dams Road that comes down from Philemon's dip. Still a lot of water flowing. 24 hours, or just under 24 hours after the rain stopped. Now this is flowing into the Mawati. The Mawati is flowing from a river runs through it. Yeah, kitty, kitty, kitty. While we're checking water bodies, let's check Chelapan. Been mongoose here. Water mongoose, could be white-tailed mongoose. Chelapan is very full. Can't really get much fuller than this. But water extended right beyond its normal high levels, beyond the base of the little jackalberry that stands on its edge. The edge of the pond. Okay. Pretty quiet frog-wise. Rhino, buffalo, giraffe have all been here in the last 24 hours. To find out where he went. Hyena have been up and down. No sign of that cat though. Or the poor rhino. Might need to go up onto Weaver's Nest for the rhino. Unless they crossed the riverbed. They've been here. They might have headed east. Because there were some scratch marks in the road further back where rhino dragged his feet, spraying his territory. Wow, Mulwati is flowing strongly. I don't know if any of you have ever seen this, but this is a dry riverbed. We often get asked the question, wow, do these rivers ever flow? Make a noise right here. Wow. Of course, this is not only the riverbed that comes from Gowrie Dam, this is also coming from Buffelshoek Dam. Coming out of this river. But the rain yesterday, I think, was probably some of the heaviest we've had in the shortest amount of time. That at some stage, all that darkness on the left, you can see that sort of little inside of the bend that we're looking at now. The water was much higher than this. It would have filled this entire width of this river. 3 times the width that it is now. Let's have a look at the other part where it goes on to Vulture's Nest. In fact, the water actually flowed over this road. It was so high, it flowed over this road and rejoined the river where we were now. There's flood debris caught up in the middle of this road. Big logs that have been washed down. Wow. This is fun. Not so much fun if we get stuck. Very, very. Only because there's been one here. My idea was to go down to Twin Dams. I think I still want to do that, so I'm just going to have to turn around and go back through the water. Unfortunate, but I'm just going to have to do that. Let's just go up to Yellow Road South, Vulture's Nest Junction, see if there are any tracks. Well, as we could do a big loop, Yellow Road South to Bateleur Road and back again. But I think let's just cover the south first. We've got a buffalo track here. And we really want to head to the south. Cover that first. We'll come back this area or go up to the northeast. Go and have a look at Biffleshoek Dam at some point later this morning. A wet wonderland. We have to enjoy it while we've got it, because it's going to slow down. It'll only flow for a day or two, maybe 3. Depends though, if we get more rain, we'll still keep it flowing. Maybe we can have a look, see what it looks like at Humber Road crossing. Ground again. Quite wide here. It's not very deep. Ordinarily, just here. This little pan on Number Road, the crossing is also very full. Ordinarily, when you're crossing a river, it's wise to get out and walk it first, to check for depth. And as is the nature of water, if it hits an eddy, it can actually drill a hole in the sand. But we're talking about very shallow water here, so I didn't feel it was necessary. Whose tracks are these? Buffalo. And a rhino and a hippo. All going towards Twin Dams Road. I still want to go to Twin Dams, so we're just going to have to cross that river again. Via Leadwood Road, and then come down Mumba. Let's go back to Bateleur Road or something. Try to cover as much ground as we can this morning. A lot of it exploratory, a lot of it just to see how much this rain has changed things. This last very heavy rain in the last 36 hours. The key is now to drive this little road all the way to Spaghetti Crossing. Oops, I'm stuck in the river. I shouldn't joke about these things, but I just wanted to show you. If we look upstream, you can see that foam. Now that foam that's on that tree, is it foam or is it just a tree? I'm caught up in wires. Stump. I thought it was foam in the tree. It's just a leadwood stump. What gives they get their name Mapondo and Dlo, tusk of an elephant, was the wood is so fine. That's what I heard. I'm sorry, we're going to have to, this is really, we have to just traverse through this river again. Really, because what I was hearing earlier are actually bullfrogs. And I'm interested in finding bullfrogs. But I've only seen them in some of the water that's away from any of the roads where we can't get to them. Now, the African bullfrog is a very large frog. And I don't know if we get to see them now. They're in this little pan next to us. But if we stop and we sit quietly, we might hear them. But frogs are deadly, very sensitive little creatures. A frogging exercise at night, and this might be a good place to come. They're starting up now. It'll be a lot louder at night. We'll come here soon. Frogs are the largest. The African bullfrog. Seb thinks he's seen a bullfrog that we can get on camera. And down a little bit, the water's rippling there. No. There he is. Okay, so I need to just move. Gonna have to move with it on zoom, just to get those grasses out of the way.
Maybe if you leave the car reversing a little bit more without starting it.
No, I can't. It won't go anyway. Gonna have to. The picture's gonna shake a little bit, but we'll just have to live with it. So that is a frog that can grow up to about 10 inches long. There you can see this is a big. Very deep sound, of course. These are all males competing for the attention of however many females there are in this little pond. And very paternal frogs. The males actually guard their tadpoles. They watch over them. Some fantastic stories of how they dig furrows when the tadpoles are caught in little puddles that as smaller puddles, maybe from elephant tracks or buffalo tracks, and the tadpoles get caught in the smaller puddles. These male bullfrogs are known to dig channels to more permanent water for their tadpoles to survive. Quite voracious amphibians. Of course, insects. And there's a famous story from Victoria. There's a snake park. Well, there used to be a snake park called the Halfway House Snake Park. Halfway House is now a huge business hub. I don't know if that snake park even exists anymore. But they had a bullfrog there that was brought in, and for some reason it died, and they were doing a necropsy. They were doing a dissection to just understand, I guess, frogs better. And it had something like more than a dozen fans its hood. It has a ring around its neck. And this frog must have found a nest that was hatching and just gobbled up these baby snakes as they were coming out. Now these frogs have actually almost, they've got not really a tooth. I mean, it's not a tooth as in a dental tooth, but it's a bony protrusion in the jaw that almost is tooth-like. Frogs do have teeth. I found many a frog skeleton that with a row of tiny, tiny teeth. But for this bullfrog, looks like a pair. This will be an interesting spot to come to with a light and a glass bowl. Ooh, I hear something across the river. Maybe we better go. No, only kidding. Like a novelty. We've got a river to play in. I want to play in it. Run along in the water. But my shoes will get wet. Shoes? What shoes? Beautiful. Juba has a river. Enjoy it while it lasts. Rhino dung looking pretty fresh. Yeah, it looks quite fresh. Which way are they going? They're going our way? No, they've been up and down. But I think they might have gone down towards Pundam. Lots of sand and, well, they've been all over the road here. Probably sleeping in the road last night. But they've really made a mess of it. And now this is the drainage line that comes from Treehouse Dam, flowing strongly. Another little river. This is flowing into the Milwaukee as well, which means that downstream of us it's going to be even stronger because of this river flowing into the Milwaukee. So we'll just have to cross it at the causeway on Gary Main to see how strong it is there. And as it goes downstream, so a lot of these little drainage lines adding to the water. So where it gets to the Sand River, it's going to probably be quite a strong river flowing into the Sand River. I don't know where those rhino went because they didn't come through onto this side of that little drainage line that I can see. They must have headed east, maybe. Or they're between here and Weaver's Nest Road. No, here's tracks heading south. Yeah, our tracks, not his. Right, Twin Dam's probably the fullest I've ever seen it. We're going to have a quick look at that. Let's get onto the western side of it and look back down onto it. Now, in twin dams, now so many times we've seen tracks of a crocodile. I shouldn't make so much noise because we can chase him underwater. Wow, so many times we saw tracks of crocodile between twin dams and it looks like a crocodile. Please don't be a piece of mud or a stick. It is. 250-million-year-old reptile. Maybe 10 years old, 20 years old, if that. It's an animal that is the most secure in its niche in the environment, with being usurped as apex predator of fresh water. Is that the closest we can get? Yes. Okay, well, we're going to get closer. Yes, 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 yes. The birds are shouting. And we always expect a crocodile to pitch up at Gowrie Dam or Buffelshoek Dam, so big. And least expect a crocodile to turn up here at Twin Dams. Watch my wheel on that side if you can. But these mud wallows that... Oh, he's moving, he's moving, he's moving. Better stop. This very pale green stuff on the surface of the water, this is duckweed. Very, very tiny leaves. Very good chance too that with the river flowing the way it is, that this crocodile is going to make his way upstream. He's going to stick to the strongest stream in Gowrie Dam in the next couple of days. Gowrie or Buffelshoek. This is how crocs move. This is when they move. This is how they find themselves new areas. Now, Buffelshoek Dam and Gowrie Dam are both very, very big at the moment, able to provide ample food. Population of fish that needs thinning out. Oh, hello little sandpiper hovering over the croc. Of course, all we can see is the bony plates behind the eye, and the eye, a little bit of the snout. a reptile here that we've spoken about so many times, and we've all all right, let's continue. Oh, that's made my day. That crocodile is actually quite beautiful. Silently dipping down and going to move off. The game reserve in southern Tanzania has one of the highest crocodile populations or densities, and yet I think I never came closer to crocs as I did in a place like the Okavango. I might even be able to get a better view of him from up here. Little white-faced duck who's been here for a while now as well. Him or her? I can't tell, I'm afraid. Lots of bullfrogs here too by the sounds of things. But let's leave the croc be. We don't want to stress it, we don't want to force him to leave our little pet. I want him to, her, I want this crocodile to go and investigate upstream. It's not dropping it too well, I'll try again in a short while. I remember last year seeing crocodile tracks going backwards and forwards. Must be the same croc coming from another dam further downstream. That would probably be, I don't think it'd be Chitwa. Actually could have got him from this side. Crocodilius niloticus, the Nile crocodile. I guess competes with the Australian saltwater croc for the title of most dangerous crocodilian. Crocodile. so much water everywhere. Any little depression. Covered in water. Filled with water, rather. Here's the causeway on Gari Main. Actually looks quite amazing. Water flowing. Looks like it's collapsing on the left-hand side. Now, it would be interesting to see if there are any catfish swimming. This is how catfish get to the different dams. They swim upstream, and although there's a little bit of a weir here at the crossing, it's possible that they might be able to make their way up when the water was stronger. Love the sound of a flowing river. Okay. Let's get up to Leadwood Road. Nyala coming down. Okay. Asking whether birds and animals recognize crocodile as something that's been part of an environment of mammals, even in areas where crocodiles, where animals may not have ever seen a crocodile, they're still aware of the dangers of something lurking in the water, possibility of something being in the water. Where's he gone? He decided he didn't like the river. I just see his ears twitching in the bushes there, but he's too far for us to get a good look at him. Nyala Bull. I wanted to investigate. I've seen lion snarling at the water when they've come to drink. Just because they know that there could be crocodiles. They might not have seen a crocodile, but because they know that crocodiles could be there. I've seen Mission in Duna, and I don't know how often they might have seen a crocodile. But there was an occasion once when they were up on Sandy Patch North. There's Leadwood Road. We're going to take Leadwood Road. Mission and Duna were up on Nyala Road North, and there's a big pan on Nyala Road North. We don't get to it too often. It's deep in the bush, way off the road. and the two of them were there. They were both snarling at the water, in the kind of grimace and snarl and behavior that I've seen from lion and leopard when I have lived in areas with crocodiles. Morning, squirrels. What are you two doing? You're eaten by a snake if you're not careful. Stick to the trees, children. Next to your head. And there's to the branch. Hit me in the face. Big golden orb that was dangling on a strand of silk. I didn't see her. Hit me in the face. I think she got more of a fright. I didn't really get a fright. Some talk about those ngala, those lion, and they're probably still mating, so I don't know where they would be now. Let's see if I can get the guys on the radio. Texan, come in. Tex, I'm not picking up very much. Has anything happened with those ngala? Excellent, thank you. Just to let you know, there's an Ngwenya at Kundan. Okay. Linda was asking a question about crocodiles, and probably the sound of the water was maybe too overwhelming. So, anyway, hello Franklin and baby Franklins. Mom, Dad and 3 chicks. And you all just disappear into the long grasses, please. Otherwise you're gonna... There's another little one on the road. Follow your mother. Don't run wild. They wanted to know if birds and animals give off alarm when they see crocodiles, whether they're aware that they're a predator. Okay, Franklin's really. This is. I don't want to split up a family. I know you can just all call each other and reunite, but there's a little open patch of sand. Off you go. Thank you very much. Apex predator. No other animal can displace them to fulfill that niche of an aquatic predator. Well, not any animal short of a few million years worth of evolution. But the very fact that crocodiles or their kind have been predators of the freshwater aquatic environment means that every single creature on Earth has evolved with crocodiles crocodiles have been found from some of the coldest regions to some of the highest. They might be reptiles, but they are highly adaptable. Some of the driest environments. You know, there's been a population of crocodiles found in a cave in the middle of the Sahara. An oasis of sorts. Probably the last, or the vestiges of a much greener environment, and a small population of crocodiles that have managed to survive for thousands of years, living on insects and frogs and small creatures that maybe come to this little oasis. It was only discovered in the last 20 or 30 years, as far as I know. Now, obviously, since humans have been around and we have decimated the populations of crocodiles all over the world, especially between the 1930s and 1960s, for the leather trade, the shoe trade, crocodiles were hammered extensively all over the world. Even here in South Africa, populations dwindled. And it was only in the 1970s or so that crocodiles But yes, I think every single creature has some instinctive memory of the possibility of there being a predator in an aquatic body. I'm not talking about domestic animals. And I've seen lion, I've seen leopard reacting to even the possibility of there being a crocodile in water when they go to a river or a dam to drink. I'm not sure if you heard me earlier, but I was saying some time ago, well over a year ago, with mission in Duna, up at Pan, a waterhole, it's a natural waterhole, on Sandy Patch North. Both of them snarling at the water in the same way that I've seen crocodiles snarling, or rather lions snarling at crocodiles on the Rufiji River in Tanzania, or in the Okavango Delta when they've had to cross channels, river channels, or floodplains. Whether there's a crocodile there or not, they tend to snarl at the water. The possibility of there being a crocodile. We've seen on numerous occasions impala, giraffe, other animals coming down to drink either here at Twin Dams or Treehouse Dam, and being very tentative about it, being very nervous about actually getting there and getting down to put their mouth at the water. You know, you coming around the bend. I am always around the bend. Let her relax. I just want to take a quick look down towards Gary Main again over this little ridge, because there's an open patch of ground, open patch of grass that might have some wildebeest or zebra or buffalo or rhino or leopard or cheetah or wild dog or lion or no tigers. No tigers in Africa. From a Quran. Or a bustard. Very worn feathers, aged. I'm going to have to dry them and re-knit them and get the sand off of them. Just recently we had one fanning its tail. These are there's plucked feathers lying around. There are hyena tracks. I don't know if a hyena would, maybe. Hyenas, I've seen hyenas eating pelicans, I've seen them eating everything that lives and grows has to be eaten. By something, at some point. You live, you eat, you grow. And eating and has to go back into the grasses and the trees and the soil. In some way. That's why everything exists. See if we can get these two kingfishers displaying. No, they're gone. I guess we're not. And I guess this little grassy knoll doesn't have any excitement. We're going to go north up Chica Cut Line. Oh wait, here's something interesting. Millipedes mating. Lucky millipede. Around the front of the female. Let's see when we get closer to it. They must have just started. Still trying to oil. Part of her body to stop her curling up, because the reproductive organs of millipedes are actually just a few segments below the head rather than at the back end. Not exactly consensual. The first part of it. Sun's coming out and burning away the cloud, and we need to make our way to 200. I believe the lion have been found. So let us go. African monarch flying about. Make sure I don't damage the honeymoon couple. Oh, a beautiful day is ahead of us. Gorgeous lights. Oh, sorry, I saw something. The brain registered, but my brain was thinking of something else. Part of the brain registered. Might be nothing. Bark. Bark of a knobthorn that looked like a lizard. There anymore. Section commit. Did you come all the way down Cheetah Cut Line? Okay, thanks. We'll need to do a little bit of Drakensberg Drive since Texan did come down Cheetah Cut Line. He came out here. He didn't do too much at Cheetah Cut Line. We'll do a little bit of drive just to see if there are different tracks. Oh, Rhino tracks here heading east across the boundary. Could have been Rhino. Yeah, they're coming up from the west. Could be the Rhino that were at the Milwaukee. The family of Franklins, mom and dad and 3. Chicks are all getting big now. Crested Franklin. Okay, family, get your act together now. Grasses. I can just see the grasses moving. Yeah, Mom's coming to call them. With you. There we go. One's coming out, two's out there, that all together. Yeah, into the grasses there, that side. This could take all day. Now one. There they go. Off you go. Go in there. Go in there. Hello, Lynn. Lynn in Canada. Lynn monitors the levels of the dams and the water and stuff. Lynn wants to know if there's been less rain up here on Cheetah Cut Line down at Twin Dams. Not really, no, not at all, Lynn. It's just much higher ground, so it's a very sandy soil here. Especially Cheetah Cut Line, it drains away very quickly. We're now on a seep line, so we're getting seepage coming out onto the road. And this is seepage that would come from Cheetah Cut Line. You don't really get a feel for it that much in the sort of 2 or 3 dimensional view that you get. But we're on much higher ground up here on Cheetah Cut Line, Drakensberg Drive. And all of the water that collects here, all of the water that seeps into the ground here comes out down at Twin Dams, down at the Mawati River. So it's naturally a lot wetter there. The rainfall is the same, but it's the standing water and the porousness of the soil that makes a difference. Here, between here, the small distance between where we are now and Cheetah Cut Line is a huge difference in the depth of the sandy, the top layer of sandy soils. In fact, where we are right now, as you could feel, it had that wet patch. A very good indication of these silver cluster leaf trees on either side of us. This is what we call an ecotone. It's that one little zone between, and now as we're coming out, gosh, so much to say it all at once. Are we coming out of that little wet patch? Where that water is that we've just come across. So now we're slightly higher, even in this short distance, and back to a sandy soil, coming through this tree line of silver cluster leaves, which is a marker. The cluster leaf only growing in that ecotone between the sandy soils and the start of the seep lines where the water seeps out of the ground. So it does have that illusion that there's been less rain here because the water drains away so easily. And as soon as we get through the sandy soils, we're starting to come across that ecotone again. Just below us, where the cluster leaves are, where that water will be seeping out of the ground once more. This road tends to follow the contour, sandy road. There are, but and there are always exceptions, but they're not likely to be mud wallows and pools of water up in these sandy soils. You do get them. But they're just not that common. Not as common as all the mud wallows that we find lower down in the areas of the Milwaukee River and the low-lying areas. Up ahead of us will be Quarry Pan, but that's a man-made little pan where the sandy soil has been dug open to expose the clay base that holds the water. And here, once again, as you can see, we're coming through a line of silver cluster leaf. And as we come through this line of silver cluster leaf, once again, a seep line. The grasses are different, the soil is different, and a little bit more water again. Bean buffalo. Drakensberg, we've been cars on Cheetah Cut Line and there hasn't been any vehicle here on Drakensberg. Rhino. There's a buffalo that slipped. Rhino here, scratching, scraping his feet. Silver cluster leaf, wet in the road. Wet in the road. What kind of English is that? Water in the road. Either water in the road or a wet road, but not wet in the road. I need a piece of worry. Rhino went south. Rhino was here filling up his midden. We missed him, he went south. Laurie asking if the thick foliage I'm driving through makes me nervous. Not at all. It's exciting because I know that behind any tree or around any bend could be something really fantastic to view. Yeah, when you have an understanding of an environment, there's no reason to be nervous or scared of anything, because I think out here it's not here to get us. It's not here to kill and eat us or harm us. It's our behavior as humans that determines whether an animal is going to get aggressive with us or not. But I suppose it's more the unknown that is what induces fear. There's some dwarf mongoose in the grasses. But having lived in this type of environment for almost all my life, I'm confident that there are dangers only because of what I am and how I behave, because I don't have the senses that animals have. I don't have I'm not as much of a part of this environment anymore as the animals are, so I do come across as either a predator or a threat to animals, and they will react accordingly. And of course, walking through this area is a completely different story, Laurie. If I were to be on foot, I would be a lot more cautious, because I would be maybe a lot more danger in a sense. But driving in the vehicle, I feel pretty safe. The animals know what a vehicle is. This is a dangerous world to somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, doesn't know how to behave with animals. And one of the reasons why when people come to the Sabi Sand, they can only go out with an experienced guide. In Kruger, it's a different story, but the roads are very wide in the Kruger National Park, where people drive there themselves, or you can hire a car and drive yourself through Kruger. You don't have these kind of roads. You have proper tar roads in most cases, otherwise very wide sand roads, well-maintained sand roads. There's some buffalo, whistles of dam. But to be honest, no, I'm more at home in this environment. I'll tell you something. I was wrecked driving through the city. But out here, this is my environment. I'm happy here. I'm content. I'm confident with my knowledge and my passion for it that I don't need to be worried about things. Wow, this dam is full. Never seen it like this. And the weavers are so busy, they're all spinning, weaving. A colony of masked weavers. The males busy weaving their nests. Females distracting them. In fact, all this birdsong you can see above us, the sides of us, all over, are weavers busy weaving nests. And their nests are very high off of the water. And if they're expecting more rain. What is incredible, so that's got to be that frog would have had to travel the long distance to get from its nest. Gosh, the bee weavers are busy. Never seen them so busy before, but not here at Wiffelshoek Dam. One hippo on the other end, one under. Okay, let's see what else we can find. We've got to try and get to these lions. It's starting to get hot. I've been dawdling. We need to try and find those lions before they become invisible in the grasses because of the heat. Manyati at Wiffelshoek Dam. Look at this spillway. Actually, no, we've got to stop there because there are a couple of things I have to show you. Hopefully the spillway, the wall won't collapse on me. First of all, there's a tree frog. Don't know if we can get that, Seb. Turned pale, quite very pale, sitting in the sun. This spillway is, I've never seen this. This is incredible. And this is a very deep spillway and it's full of water. I wonder where Teresa is. Teresa loves the weavers. So many. There's our little tree frog waiting patiently to find a female. A young bull buffalo chasing one of its leaves. All these males are flying in with their blades of grass. They're all starting to weave. There are a bunch of females flapping around them. So these males, the competition is strong to build the strongest nest, the quickest. and we should be able to monitor them over the next few days. Okay, let's get to cats. You'll see, it's hard to tell how, or hard to believe that this is several feet deep here, where the spillway is. Steadily flowing over and around. We'll have to wait until the dry season when the water subsides to see how much it has changed. Let's just hope the dam wall doesn't burst when we're below the dam wall. It could get a little bit wet. 2 million liters of water. It's quite intimidating actually now, knowing how much water is there, and we would now be probably 15 feet underwater if we were on the other side of the wall, because it is such a high wall. It's quite intimidating to know the amount of pressure that must be behind that dam wall. So many people build dams in the bush across drainage lines, and they underestimate the power of water and the pressure that is held behind these dams. Hello, Buffs. I'm going to see your enemies now. We'll see you later. Don't follow me. My word, this is high water. Bunch of birds and starlings That buffalo was sleeping underneath that tree on our left. Over the cut line. That's what we want. We want cloud back again. Hold off the heat of the sun. Just for a little while longer. Every drainage line is, even the small ones are flowing. The drainage line that runs parallel. We'll do direct cut line to Mbubu Road. No, maybe not a good idea. Maybe a better idea to go to Mbubu Road.